What's going on, guys? Today I want to talk about writing music for content creators specifically. Now, I know that it can seem daunting to write music if you don't play an instrument or you don't necessarily have a musical background, but I'm here to tell you that it's entirely possible, and I'm going to give you 5 tips to help you write music for your media. Alright guys, tip number 1 is tone. I think it's incredibly important to consider what you're trying to convey emotionally with your media. Is your channel a comedy channel, and are you trying to be lighthearted and funny? Are you a action-packed channel that does like parkour and that needs to be upbeat and super energetic? You really need to think about these things before you even start composing music at all, because you need to kind of have a vibe to work off of right off the bat. And I think that when you match the emotional response of your visuals with appropriate audio, you're going to have a huge impact in the quality of your overall video. I think it's easy to overestimate how important that is and to just slap something in that you find that's free or whatever, but I think it's important that you, especially for your own branding as well, to sort of have your own musical identity, whether it be something that you make or something that you sort of curate with a friend of yours that's a composer or something. But I think at the end of the day, you need to be intentional with what you actually put into your video and not just slap random shit into it. So I think that will help a lot to preserve quality in your content. Alright guys, tip number 2 is structure. So when you think about music, it's essentially just sound that's been organized in some fashion, and that can be as grand as an orchestral piece or as chaotic as an avant-garde piece. But ultimately, you will find that your music is most impactful with some sort of structure. Structure gives your music intention. Intention gives your music credibility. And tip 3 is using dynamics in your music. You will find that any song or any piece of music that you listen to has fluctuations in the loudness and the softness of the audio. This can also come in the form of adding and subtracting layers, as well as playing the instrument more intensely or more softly depending on the situation. The 2 musical terms that I'm referring to are crescendo and decrescendo. Crescendo being an increase in volume and decrescendo being a decrease in volume. Using dynamics and just in general adding and subtracting layers will really help create depth in your music and will make it more interesting for sure. Tip number 4 is to use variation in your music. Now that's, to me, the easiest way to implement new ideas in your music is to take a pre-existing idea or existing melodic element within your music and putting a little bit of a spin on it. And that could also come from using variations in different instruments. So like if you had like a rock song with a verse and then the verse repeats, and you maybe the second time around you alter the bass and the drums, that's going to have an impact without being super obvious, but it will definitely help keep your music fresh. Alternatively, you could take something that you've written and morph it so much that it's unrecognizable, and then ultimately you have a new idea simply inspired by material that you've already written or already used previously. Alright, and final tip number 5, is to use sample packs as a foundation to get your music writing started. I understand that generating an initial idea can be tough, and I think even for a seasoned musician it can be. At least once you've composed a lot of music, it can be hard to start sometimes. So having a foundation is helpful, and having sample packs that are curated to fit a certain genre or timbre will really give you a jump start. And a lot of them are pretty cheap, and you can even find some free stuff, so definitely don't sell yourself short on that, and really think about what you could do by even chopping up pre-existing material. But ultimately, sample packs are great to give you inspiration and to get you going, and in a lot of cases some sample packs will even already have some tracks just pre-made for you to use. And I'm not even talking about just the loops. I mean like a full track that's royalty free to use. So that's always a possibility as well, that you buy a sample pack and you can just sort of like harvest the demo track. But either way, I think that using something like this as a foundation is a pretty easy way to get started, especially if you don't necessarily have like a digital audio workstation or anything like that for like editing your music. So all right guys, that was 5 tips for writing music for content creators. I hope that this is helpful for you and will get you inspired for your next project. Thanks for watching this episode, and I hope we'll see you in the next one.